Welcome to Osprey TV. I am absolutely stoked to be joined today by MKZ Imagery, another local shooter to Perth. Huge drone guy, pumps out some incredible content. And believe it or not, this is the very first time that we've met. So I'll be going on a journey of learning about who you are, and we're going to chat through some of his best photos, some of his stories, and learn a bit about the man behind the lens. Mate, Mitch, welcome.
Thanks for having us, legends.
No worries. Good to see you. So, as I said, I've never seen you live before. We've chatted a lot on Instagram and you know, commented on each other's photos, and you've even come through and given me some heads up a few times when people were using our stuff without a credit, which is always good. Tell us a little bit about yourself, mate. Where you're from, and let us know.
Yeah, so first name's Mitchell. I grew up actually northern New South Wales, a little town called Ballina.
Oh, yeah?
It's about half hour from Byron. I usually just tell people Byron Bay because everyone sort of knows where that is. So I grew up there, sort of always had a love for the coastline because growing up there it was sort of, you know, you either surf, fish, that was pretty much the only things to do. So you sort of do that. From there, sort of lived there till I was about 20, 21.
Yep.
And did a few things around there, sort of realised that it wasn't really for me. Small town, not much to really do once you sort of start to get older, make a career, that sort of stuff. So from there, joined the Navy.
Oh, cool.
And that's sort of taken me all over the country, overseas, all that sort of stuff.
Awesome.
So,
and how long were you in the Navy for?
I'm still in the Navy.
Oh, you're still in the Navy.
So
cool.
coming up on 9 years in November.
Oh, wow. Did you get long service leave?
10 years, get 3 months, which is pretty good. So
sweet.
hopefully that ticks over soon enough, which will be good.
That's good. And what's your role in the Navy? You just shoot missiles at people, or?
Oh, yeah. I'd like to tell people that. Astronaut.
Yeah.
But no, I'm just in communications. So basically communications from ship to ship.
Yep.
At the moment, I'm based ashore, which is good. So I'm not going away to sea.
Yep.
Which sort of gives me that sort of flexibility to go out, shoot early mornings, late afternoons.
Yep.
Sort of days off as well as fairly flexible.
Is it like swing work, or is it like a 9 to 4?
So at the moment I'm watch keeping. So it's kind of like a 5 on 5 off rotation, sort of mixed with days and sort of working nights.
Yep.
And then it affords me the opportunity to, with those 5 days off, potentially, you know, go north, south, interstate, all that sort of stuff.
Well, that's handy for what you're doing.
Yeah, definitely.
And with the Navy, are you finding, you know, it's obviously a massive part of it's the guys you work with and mateship and that. Is there any other crew out there that are into photography and film that you work with?
There is a little bit, but they sort of find it hard with that sort of going away, all that sort of stuff. So a lot of the lads that I'll either go and shoot with or I've met up with, generally I've found from Instagram, catching up locally with other people. Then there might be a few others that are sort of tagged along, meeting through other people, which generally, try to keep the work side of things away from.
Bit separate. Yeah, that's good. And have you been back to Ballina at all? Like, have you shot back over there? Because I know there's really good surf there, right? Yeah,
so really good surf. Lennox Point, which is probably about 15 minutes from Ballina, is some of the world's best sort of surf, which is really good. They hold the Gromfest there, which is generally like the sort of younger lads where they go and sort of have a bit of a surf and thrash around a bit.
Cool.
But I did a trip, it was probably October last year now, where I sort of drove from Melbourne all the way up back home to Ballina, did some stuff around Ballina, sort of Byron, Gold Coast.
Yep.
Drove back to Melbourne, flew back from Melbourne to here. So it was a bit of a roundabout way of doing it.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. So tell us, mate, how did you get into photography? Where did it all start for you?
I guess the big one was, like, you always sort of go around taking photos on your phone. You'd always have those sort of point and shoot cameras from there. But I never really got into it, like sort of full frame cameras, all that sort of stuff. I think my first one was sort of the drone stuff, which I sort of just carried on with. From there, I was actually doing what I'm doing now in the Navy, but my partner was sort of going away a bit, and she actually sort of realised that, you know, like, I'd still go to the gym and still sort of have those other hobbies, but I didn't really have a defined hobby as such. and she sort of saw me getting a little bit down and not really sort of doing much with like I'd still have those 5 days off.
Yeah.
She'd sort of see that.
But just nothing productive.
Nothing really productive with my time. Yeah, I'd still go to the gym and keep fit and do all that sort of stuff. But outside of that, there wasn't really anything.
Yeah, no other outlet.
And I sort of always looked at drones and, that would be cool to sort of do that. Yeah. And surprisingly, before she went away, she actually bought me a Mavic Pro.
Legend.
And I was stoked, oh, geez.
Yeah.
Now I've actually... got to go and
got
use
no
it
excuse,
and work out how to use it and do all that sort of fun stuff.
Yeah.
But that's sort of where it all started. From there,
that's awesome. You've got
sort of just took off. Yeah.
Owe it to her.
Yeah, exactly.
Legend.
Pretty much.
And obviously, flying drones is amazing fun, we all love it. How, especially for not doing too much with the point and shoots and going straight into the drone work, how quickly did your skill set develop, and what were some of the early lessons that you learned flying drones?
Oh, you sort of like, even still now, like I still learn heaps of stuff. But I think the main things picking up straight away was sort of the laws and all that sort of stuff behind it.
Yeah.
Because realistically, when you get it, you just sort of, I'll just
go for it.
Buzz it around. It's like 9 o'clock at night. I'll go buzz around the neighbourhood and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And
you don't sort of really realise until, hey, like I've posted this photo of, and someone's like, mate, you can't really do that sort of thing. So from there...
It's just an education thing, really, isn't
100%.
it? Yeah. Some people are so excited they've got the drone. The first thing they want to do is throw it up. And I think that just comes down with a little bit of education and that sort of social media forums where experienced guys get to talk to the junior guys as well.
Yeah, 100%. From there, like, whereas I didn't really have that sort of photography background as well, like a lot of people you talk to sort of go from the point and shoot to the drone, so they sort of understand the basics of photography, like ISOs and shutter speeds, all that sort of stuff. Yeah. Whereas... I pretty much picked it up and... Straight to the drone. Like YouTube, obviously, massive
YouTube
help.
University.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, helps you with everything.
Yeah.
You're unsure of how to do this or how to do that, YouTube will help you.
It's literally a click away.
Yeah, there's a tutorial for everything.
Yeah.
So.
That's awesome. And what was it about flying drones, or what was it about drone aerial photography and video that got you hooked?
I think I saw... like a lot of stuff on Facebook, like because I still had Facebook. I only started Instagram because of the drone stuff. But you see a lot of images on Facebook and think, how'd that bloke do that? Or like, wow, I'd really love to sort of get an image of that. And I think a big one was I saw a photo of, I think it was the Natural Spa.
Yep.
And like those sorts of things, if I wasn't doing drone photography, like I'd have an interest in going there, but it wouldn't really be... I'd be like, oh yeah, I've seen it.
Because that horizontal perspective is nowhere near as mind-blowing as that top-down, is it?
Yeah, so that was a big one. I saw an image of that and just thought, wow.
Do you remember who took it?
Oh, couldn't even...
Someone awesome.
Yeah, someone that was probably blowing up at the stage. But yeah, it's sort of one of those things that now it allows me to, like, I have more interest in sort of going to those places, whereas, my partner would always be like, oh, let's go here, or let's go there. I'd be like, no, that doesn't really interest me.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the, for me as well, is one of the best parts about being a photographer is it forces you to explore, and you got to find new places and new compositions, and then almost every opportunity you've got to go somewhere, you think, oh, well, could be some good shots there, or there might be something unique there. So it definitely makes it more exciting and encourages you to go out.
Yeah, 100%. And like I said, you never sort of really have that interest in, and I think my partner enjoys it as well, because now it's sort of giving me that, instead of her being like, oh, let's go here, let's go there, it's sort of more me, oh, I really want to go here, or I really want to go there.
She's like, let's go.
Yeah, she's really happy with it. So.
That's awesome. And so tell us what drone you're flying at the moment, what sort of gear are you using?
So I've got the Mavic Pro 2 at the moment.
Yep.
Just roll with that. And then I've got just rolling with freewheel filters.
Yep.
And that's pretty much it. Like I do have other stuff that I'll a lot of it's more predominantly for like Instagram stories and all that sort of stuff. So like I've got a 360 camera.
Yeah.
I've got the GoPro.
Yeah.
I've actually do have a point and shoot. So I've got a Fuji X-T2.
Yeah.
But I don't really
use them that much.
use it
Sometimes
that
it's too many cameras, not enough hands.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like with my Instagram account at the moment, like that's sort of what I'm known for, sort of those coastal drone.
Yeah.
And then if I'm throwing, you know, a landscape photo of you know, from a point and shoot camera or something like that, doesn't
get the engagement.
Doesn't really fit the bill.
Yeah. It's interesting that, isn't it? Like, I think Instagram people are so specific in what they like, and they follow you because they love those top downs of coastal stuff, and then you throw in a nighttime shot of the city and they're just like, what are you doing, mate?
Yeah, like I go and shoot in Perth City a lot.
Yeah.
But some of those things where, like, you know, doesn't really suit the
layout of
the coastal bill
grid.
or anything like that,
yeah.
which is a little bit sad. But
so that, I mean, that comes to a question: do you shoot for the Instagram or do you shoot for yourself? Like,
like I said, so I still go into Perth City and shoot a lot.
Yeah.
It's always good because generally that's a good sort of central location to catch up with a few lads as well. So half the time I'll just go off and do that. Like even yesterday, went and shot some kangaroos and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's never going to see the light of day on my Instagram feed. Like it's still sort of interesting. People still find it interesting on stories and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But that was purely just to, here's
something to do.
Here's a yellow field with some kangaroos in it type setup.
Was that Heron Island?
No, it was down south.
Oh, cool.
Secret spot.
Oh, that's good. All right, mate, we're going to jump into the first photo that you've brought to share with us. This is epic. I've never seen... Well, I have seen a lot of sharks in a certain space, but in shallow, clear water like that, absolutely incredible. What can you tell us about this image?
I think it was a good one because it sort of brought a lot of people together as well. Like a lot of people would be down at Point Perrin trying to capture these sharks.
Yeah.
And like you'd meet so many people just purely from, you know, going to take these shark photos.
Yeah.
But I think this one was a big one purely because it took so long to edit. Like if you saw the before shot, I think that's why it's sort of pretty special. Like it's not perfect, but I still instilled a lot of time into it.
Yeah.
Which again, I have a few days off, so it sort of gives me that time and flexibility.
Cool. We might, when we do the cut, we might put the before shot up as well, and then we can show the end result. So, talk us through the post production process. How did you what did you do to sort of get this look?
So a lot of it was done sort of through Lightroom, just your basic sort of color corrections and stuff through Lightroom. I don't tend to go into Photoshop too much.
Yep.
Like I know how to do some stuff in Photoshop, and then there's stuff like you look at it and you're just like, how do you do that? Again, YouTube tutorials.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it went through the whole Lightroom process and then went into Photoshop, and then pretty much had to mask pretty much all those sharks individually, which people that have done it sort of realise how time consuming it is, especially with the sort of little intricate shark tails and all that
fins
sort of stuff.
There.
So I went through that. Obviously there was a little bit of sort of seaweed and that sort of stuff, a little bit of that stuff that needed to be spot removed, then back into Lightroom for a bit more colour correction. But yeah, just in the Photoshop as well, once they've sort of masked, just sort of desaturate that sort of stuff and so it's not looking blue. When you were down there filming and taking these shots, did you have that feeling when you got this shot you thought that looked sick, or was it one of those days where you're just firing off as many photos as you could? And you'd feel that because it was sort of big with hammerhead sharks around the time as well, a lot more interest was actually in the hammerhead sharks, which a lot of people were obviously trying to get. But Point Perrin's sort of one of those weird spots where conditions sort of need to be perfect and everything needs to
line up.
Yeah, it needs to fit into place for it to sort of work to get those sort of perfect shots of the hammerheads. But these guys were sort of further around near sort of Penguin Island sort of area.
Oh, okay, cool.
Which it's a lot clearer, a lot nicer, and a lot easier to shoot. So in all honesty, like I think I spent a battery sort of trying to get these shots. when in actual fact I probably should have just spent the whole sort of day there.
Yeah.
Which these shots sort of have turned out a lot better than the hammerhead shots.
Yeah,
so.
Awesome. I mean, I did go down there for one day at the Point Perrin, and it actually felt like Heathrow Airport. There was that many guys down there flying drones. You were lucky, not to crash or have some. There was I don't think there was any incidents at all, but it's like everyone could stand next to each other and chat. But there was a lot of drones there at the same time.
Yeah, that was the good thing, because everyone sort of would come together. There'd sort of be those groups where everyone's sort of like, oh yeah, I'm going to go to Point Perrin sort of this morning, and everyone sort of would tag along. I think it was more the rogue people that sort of you didn't know, and they'd be just sort of off to the side. Whereas you couldn't be like, like, whereabouts are you, what height are you at, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas the guys that you're there with, you can sort of chat and sort of understand where everyone is and try and gauge sort of.
I think that's a good point to make. Like, it is possible to fly a lot of drones in a relatively tight space, a lot of guys in the air. As long as there's good communication, then it can definitely be done. So when you guys were flying alongside, what were the sort of things that you would chat about with the guys next to you?
Half the time you'd just be talking about sort of where they are, sort of heights, distances.
Yep.
Half the time you could probably see the drone on the screen below you anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
And it'd just be a matter of, don't go directly up, or I'm just over here, or I'm just over there.
It doesn't take much.
No, it's just little basic things.
Yeah.
But as I said, then you get those sort of rogue ones that sort of, you'll be there at a certain height, and then
someone just zips past.
Yeah, you just see in the camera someone just zips straight underneath you.
Yeah.
So, okay, who was that?
Yeah. I know when we went down there, Rod took his Inspire down. He's like, I'm not putting this up because it just takes one little Mavic to knock that thing out of the air. And he's like, yeah, I'll give that a miss. That's cool. And with this, when you posted this, does it have a lot of engagement on Instagram?
Yeah, this was sort of a big one because it's something you don't sort of see every day. Sort of got a few pretty big features. Like, it's still people are featuring it now.
Yeah.
And I even sort of did another shot as well. That sort of, it's the same shot, but I photoshopped my partner who's on a lilo pretty much in the middle of the sharks.
Oh, awesome. I think I saw that get shared a fair bit.
Yeah,
well.
that still gets shared a bit as well.
Yeah.
Which is still pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know how it still sort of gets out there, but
yeah. It's great. There's a lot of guys, the god of the sharks is Philly. He pumped out some amazing images from there. And what was great is there was a lot of different interpretations of the same location and scenario, but there were so many different ways that would come out, because you can't predict what these animals are going to do. You don't know what the lighting conditions are going to be like, the depth. There's so many variations.
Yeah, 100%.
But there was some really good art that came out of that.
I think the thing as well, because I sort of sat back on a lot of these shots, because Phil was obviously posting those shots.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, I don't want to be seen as sort of, okay, you're just copying Phil or you're doing this sort of thing. So I did sort of sit on them a bit and sort of wait till he'd sort of done his thing. And then, just purely the fact that, I didn't want everyone to think, oh,
yeah, I know. And I can see that. And it's hard to avoid, especially finding new places to shoot around Perth. Like, it's all sort of been done to death. But I think what is good out of that scenario, because Phil does amazing work, is it helps you, his work helps you think differently about your own work and how you can achieve something, a different look to how maybe you would normally go about it. So I think he influenced a lot of guys in the way that he edited to produce some really epic stuff. So I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, 100% it is.
Yeah. Awesome, man. All right, we'll just move on to your next image. Now, this is just absolutely sick. Have you printed this ever, or?
So it's been printed a few times. Like, I've got people that purchase it off the website, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I actually thought about printing it for my house and then literally just taking it down off the website so it wouldn't be printed anywhere else.
Yeah.
Since then, it doesn't really fit the decor, all that sort of stuff. And
your missus won't be happy with that.
No, she, I don't know. It's a bit of one of those weird ones where I thought she'd like the pink and all that sort of girly sort of colours, but turns out she just wants the blues on the wall. So
mate, it's absolutely, it's just art. It really is. It's incredible. So just tell us the story behind this, and for people that aren't watching this that don't live in WA, maybe you can sort of explain where it is and even why is it pink?
So it's sort of like first up it's Hutt Lagoon, it's sort of just outside the township of Port Gregory, which is about an hour north of Geraldton. and probably about half hour south of Kalbarri, sort of in that sort of middle there. But the main thing about it, I think the reason why it is pink, it's sort of like an algae.
Yep.
That and there's also a salt mine as well there. So those two sort of thrown in together.
Yeah.
Like you could go there in the morning and come back in the afternoon, and the colours would just be completely different.
Wow.
Or
So it's like the salt reacting with the bacteria in the...
Yeah, there's a bit of bacteria in the water as well, and they sort of all react. So this shot was from like January, and I went back recently in July, and like the colours are just completely different because they've sort of had that rain. Even that just plays a huge part as well.
So does the rain make it duller, or is
not really dull? It just sort of fills it up a bit more.
Yeah.
So you sort of get a different sort of colours as well. Whereas when there's sort of not much water going through, it's sort of fairly heavily pink.
Yeah. It doesn't even look real, like it literally looks like something out of this world. And when was this shot from one of the first times you had been there, or you've been there a few times?
So it's sort of like, because it's not pink all year round, it's one of those things. Sometimes it's a little bit hit and miss. But my partner's mum works in Geraldton, and sometimes she's travelling to and from Kalbarri.
Yeah.
This was under pretty bad circumstances because we had to go back because my partner's passed away.
Oh, right.
But it was one of those good sort of situations where sort of the family had sort of gotten together. And they sort of think I'm a little bit crazy because, I'd tell them, I'm going to go to the Pink Lakes, and they're always like, what do you want to go there again for? And all that sort of stuff. But, sure enough, we'd all pile into her brother's 7-seater and we'd all take off to the Pink Lakes. And we're like, well, I'm not really the crazy one because you guys all want to come. I was happy to go by myself. But
you're all in the car.
Yeah. So it was one of those situations where it sort of got the family together as well, which was good.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was under pretty poor circumstances.
Yeah, and then the silver lining on the other side.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, it's awesome. And did I see you did some shots where some crew was standing in the water?
Yeah, so that was because of the amount of water that sort of wasn't there. Like you couldn't go back and do that now because they have had that rain.
Yep.
But sort of during that summer period, there's not sort of as much water in there.
Yep.
So they could pretty much walk out into the middle of the salt lake and stand there, and it was sort of a good time to shoot because it was sort of that just after sunrise, where you get that sort of long shadows and all that sort of stuff of them standing in the water, which I didn't really plan it. I didn't really say, just go out and stand in the water and that sort of stuff. But they just went out there, and I was like,
that'll work.
That'll work.
It's funny how you can those sort of impromptu compositions come up, and I think when you're flying around, you're always looking for that different angle or a different composition, and sometimes stuff just comes straight into the viewfinder, and you're like, that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot easier with the drone. You don't have to pack up a tripod, a camera, and all that sort of stuff. This composition's not really going to work. You can literally take 2 seconds to fly around and have a completely different composition, which is very good.
Yeah, that's good. I haven't actually been there yet, so I'm definitely interested to go. How does it look from ground level? Is it as impressive?
Not really. Like a lot of people sort of go there, and I get comments.
What's the big deal?
I get comments still on some of these pictures, and people, it looks nothing like that, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, well, did you go there at this time, and did you fly your drone around?
Yeah, that's right.
No, I just stood here and did this. It's
just looked out the car window.
Yeah, and we sort of did a work trip that sort of went up past Kalbarri up to sort of Coral Bay.
Yeah.
But we stopped here, and they're all sort of like, oh, what's all the fuss about and all that sort of stuff. But I had my drone and threw it up and sort of took a few photos there again as well. Yeah. And showed them a few videos, and maybe it is.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, so it's one of those spots that you can make it work from the ground, but it's 10 times better from the drone. Or
you're never going to get all those variations in texture there, and those awesome lines and stuff like that from looking on the ground, really.
No, like a lot of it you see is sort of those, traveling couples in vans and all that sort of stuff, taking those ground shots of
#Wanderlust.
Yeah, so they've pretty much got the the van in the background with the girl in the bikini or whatever. Which it's all well and good, but like from the drone, it's just a whole nother level,
whole new place. That's awesome. And in terms of your post production for this image, what went into this?
Post-production was, a lot of it was, again, just Lightroom.
Yeah.
You know, drop the highlights, lift the shadows, all that sort of fun stuff.
Yeah.
Throw in some vibrance. But like my post-processing, like I try and keep it as simple as possible.
Yeah.
But Lightroom's like game changer. Like, you know, I remember when I first started, I'd do stuff on my phone and think, oh yeah, this is sick. But like,
throw an Instagram filter on there.
Yeah, pretty much. You'd just be like, oh, this is amazing. But now, like, you can keep it fairly simplistic through Lightroom, which is pretty good. And now the mobile app is, you know,
is pretty good, pretty powerful for a mobile. It's just
as good, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that is insane. Mate, you talk about being encouraged, you know, now that you're flying drones, to go out camping and go to different places. Do you really enjoy throwing the swag down or going out and just sort of roughing it?
I say I rough it, but like half the time
You're in a hotel room?
No, I'll go somewhere and it'll more be like I'll still stay at a caravan park or something like that because it's fairly cheap, but I'll stay at a powered site. Yeah. I think a lot of that is purely just so I can charge my drone batteries, charge like all my gear. So I don't really rough it too much, which is, you know, like a lot of people probably thinking, oh yeah, he goes out and just, you know, under the stars. I'm not like that. Like I get a lot of that. Like, you know, I've sort of had to rough it a bit with work and being at sea and all that sort of stuff.
So you like your creature comforts? That's fine, mate. I don't think any less of you. That's fine. No worries. All right, man. We're going to flick to the next photo there. Wow, that's that color scheme on that is insane. Where is? Tell us about this. Where is this?
So this one's Twilight Beach, which is down in Esperance.
Yep.
It was one of those times where I sort of had that sort of time off through work to sort of go down, and it was one of those where I went down by myself, which sometimes I enjoy a lot more because you don't have to sort of worry about what other people are doing. Yeah. You know, do you want to go here? Do you want to go? You could literally.
Are you finished yet? Can we go now?
Yeah, you can literally just do what you want to do, which is sometimes good to just sort of do that and, you know, go away without anyone sort of hassling you. Yeah. So yeah, this one was, I was staying at the caravan park in Esperance in my swag. It was sort of coming into winter, sort of May here in Australia. And I remember I set an alarm and I sort of lied there, like, you know, you check your weather apps and all that sort of stuff and think, oh, is it gonna be any good? Is it gonna be worth my time? And it's sort of one of those photos that is a constant reminder to, you know, essentially just go and do it.
Get your ass out of the swag.
Get your ass up and go. I sort of remember lying there thinking, you know, do I not?
There's always this excuse like, maybe it won't be that good.
Like something in my head just said, look, you're only here for 4 days. Yeah. Just go and do it. Yeah. I remember getting up. It was still fairly cold, but I remember arriving here and just thinking like, you know, you got your typical, you know, illegal campers down at the beach and stuff like that. But
the ones without the powered site. Yeah. The ones roughing it. Yeah.
The old travel van couples and all that sort of stuff. So I would have had it to myself if they weren't illegal camping. But anyway. And yeah, I remember just seeing it and just watching the sky light up in front of me.
Blow up.
And as I said, it's one of those photos that is a constant reminder just to get your ass up and go and do it.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things. It's like that fine line. As soon as your feet hit the ground and your shoes are on, you're good to go. And I honestly enjoy, I think the sunrise light and the sunrise is the best part of the day. It's just sometimes really hard to get there, but you never really regret it because it always is really nice.
As much as like the sunsets over in the west here are, you know, magic, I think sunrise is a much better time. You know, you don't have those sort of people hanging around annoying you, all that sort of stuff. There's not really as many people around, so you can sort of go and do as you sort of please, really.
Yeah, that's right.
To sort of worry about that.
Yeah, and I was chatting to Rod about it the other day that with the sunrise, you then go into just more light, whereas the sunset, once it's set, it's gone, dark, and that's it, and your shooting's over. So yeah, I enjoy the sunrise aspect for that as well. The composition's really interesting here. Is there more islands like that sort of off to the side, or is this sort of this little rocky outcrop all there by itself? So in summer you'll find like it's not that far off the beach, so a lot of people sort of go out to that rock and sort of swim off it, jump off it, all that sort of fun stuff. So it's pretty much just the coastline's just sort of off to the left there. You can see that sort of
coast just up to the top left, pretty much where I think there's like a ship up there or something.
Yeah, sea container ship.
That's pretty much where the coastline is. It sort of just runs straight along there.
Yeah.
Which it's some of the best coastline.
Mate, it is.
In probably Australia, if not the world.
Absolutely. So. I mean, some of the stuff that you see come out of there in terms of the clear water and the summer days down there is definitely some of the best country in the world for sure. How much time have you spent in Esperance? You down there a lot?
I think the hard thing about Esperance is because it's so far, like it's 8-hour drive.
Yep.
Whereas like, East Coasters could do go through 3 states almost in 8 hours. Whereas that's the main thing, the sort of time and the distance. But I've been there probably 3 times now.
Yep.
Which
and always the same time of year you going down there, or
no, not always the same time of year. I'd like to sort of go down during summer, but it's always sort of super busy. So last sort of couple of times that I've gone, sort of been that sort of April, May, where the weather's still sort of pretty good, but it's not as busy.
Yeah, for sure. And I would assume, I mean, you probably didn't have to do much to this photo to make it look good.
Yeah, a lot of it with the post-processing stuff. Like another important thing that I sort of like to do, depending on sort of sunset, sunrise, I'll shoot in like a bracketed shot, which pretty much captures everything that you sort of need. So yeah, then you can just merge those through Lightroom, that sort of thing.
So you've got the darks and you've got the whitest of whites, and it gives you the full spectrum, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier with the post processing because of that. So you don't have to worry about
Are you shooting 3 bracketed images or 5?
So I'll do a 5 with sunset, sunrise. Yep. With the Mavic, because it doesn't really have portrait mode, or the Mavic 2 doesn't have portrait mode now, which is a little bit, it's a bit harder to sort of do things in that sort of portrait landscape. So I'll still shoot a 3-shot bracketed shot, even in the middle of the day.
Yeah, standard.
As a standard.
That's how we shoot as well. Yeah, that's awesome, mate. In terms of social media, how much? What are the pros to it? Do you think? How much has it been a good thing for? I mean, you've already touched on how different it's been for you, to get out there with a drone and create this art and create the account. But what are some of the things that you've really enjoyed about that sort of social media ride?
Social media is one of those things. I think the best thing that I enjoy about it is the people that you meet. Like 100%, I wouldn't be probably sitting here if I hadn't met you guys through social media. Yep. Which is probably the best thing that I find, meeting those sort of new people, putting the face to the name. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, there's still idiots and stuff that are on social media. Yep. It's like anything and anywhere, but you don't essentially have to meet up with those people.
No, that's right. I mean, it's the same as you weed out the people that you don't want to hang out with and hang out the ones that you actually like.
Yeah, so it's one of those things that like I've got some really good friends through Instagram that I consider friends now that essentially I wouldn't have met outside of social media.
Yeah, I guess it cuts through a lot of the you know exactly that these guys have got the same interests as you. They're doing the same thing. They're up for the same experiences. So that really helps you to bond quickly with them, I guess.
Yeah, 100%.
So you're probably not really good friends with like a chick who makes flower baskets or something like that, but drone
traveling in vans and stuff. Yeah, it's one of those things that you sort of wouldn't like. Those things that you have interest in sort of draws you to those people, so that you can, hey, what are you doing in the morning? Yep. Like I said, sometimes I'll just go to shoot with people just to catch up with them. Yeah. Half the time I'll fly the Mavic around to pretend like I'm doing something. Yeah.
Well, that's what Hamish Stubbs was saying. He's like, usually when I go and shoot with a crew, I just end up talking shit anyway and not even taking photos, but he said he enjoyed that same aspect.
Yeah, it's sort of one of those things, and like you might sort of get 1 or 2 shots that you'll be like, okay, cool, I'm happy with that. I can just you might try something different, but I think the main thing with that when you go shooting with people is literally just
to catch up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. And in terms of, have you had any times when you thought, I'm over it? What are the cons to it, you reckon?
I guess the cons about it is there's a Not so much Facebook. Like you find Facebook, everyone's sort of to the point and they won't beat around the bush. Whereas Instagram, there's a lot of fakes about.
Yeah.
Like the amount of comments that you get that'll just be essentially the same comment.
A generic comment.
And just people feeling like, oh, hey, I need to engage on this person's stuff. Otherwise they won't engage on mine.
Yeah.
Like I'll engage on your stuff if I like it. If I don't, then, you know, it's sort of one of those things.
Yeah, it does seem a bit like that. And we kind of talked about it before. It's almost engagement for engagement, really, isn't it? I'll comment in the hope that you'll comment
definitely.
back. So,
which that's probably the bad thing. I try, like when I comment on people's stuff, like half the time it'll just be some silly comment instead of, you know, oh, that's a sick shot, nice tones or whatever. You know, it'll just be a genuine comment just about like, you know.
It's almost become cliche comments like the footy commentators, you know, like some of the things that you hear. And I guess I'm guilty of it myself. You haven't got, feels like you don't have time to write something meaningful or long or anything like that. So, it's a bit of a weird thing, isn't it? Yeah,
it's one of those things. But I think like engagement's fairly down on Instagram at the moment. So, but whereas sort of when you started out, you sort of thought, oh, you know, I need to post every day and be doing this every day. Sort of needed to take a step back from it.
Yeah.
And just be like, you know,
it becomes a bit all-consuming.
It becomes too much. Like you're spending so much time on your phone. Obviously, your partner gets in your ear and, you're spending a bit too much time here doing this or doing that.
Yeah.
Whereas if, like, they're not sort of on Instagram for that sort of, like, a lot of people do it because it is a business and that's what they need to do.
Yeah.
But people that sort of don't do Instagram for those sorts of reasons sort of don't really get it, I guess.
No, that's a good point. And how do you think, or personally, when they've took away the actual numbers of likes on the photo, which they have now, and you can't see that anymore, how did that make you feel, or what do you think about that move by Instagram?
It's one of those things that I've never sort of worried about, sort of, oh, you know, how many likes I've sort of got. But them taking away the likes, I think the good thing about it is people could sort of focus on sort of posting sort of what they sort of wanted without having that sort of pressure of, like, you know, if I didn't get this many likes or I didn't get that. I think the bad thing about it is, though, that there's a lot of people out there that have, you know, purchased followers and all that sort of stuff. Whereas you could see, okay, like, you know, you've got 50,000 followers, why are you only getting like 50 likes and all that sort of stuff? So you could sort of be like, well, you know, this person's a bit of a fake, really. Whereas now that you don't have that sort of, that's probably the only downside that I see of it. That, you know, you could go out and buy 50,000 likes and everyone will be like, oh, this
guy's famous.
Yeah, he must be pretty cool.
He must
catch up with him.
Cool, mate. And what are some of the accounts or some of the guys that you like to follow and that you sort of draw inspiration from and really enjoy their content? Oh,
there's sort of heaps of guys around here sort of starting out that were pretty helpful to me. Which I try to sort of then pass on. You know, it's sort of like pay it forward type setup where they've sort of took the time out of their day to, oh, how did you do this? How did you do that? Which a lot of the local Perth lads have sort of took the time out to do.
Yeah, there's a lot of good guys in that group.
Which, like, I could honestly probably name about 20 people. But there's a few that sort of, like, even still, like, Danny Doe. I don't know whether you...
I follow him,
So he's someone that I drew... Like, he doesn't do much drone stuff as such anymore, but he was massive. Like, I still, like... He still inspires me a lot. And, like, I tell him and he's sort of like, no, like, you're way beyond me now sort of thing. He's fairly humble like that.
That's good.
Yeah, so he's someone that was pretty big. And as I said, like, there was always those sort of lads like Phil and Lucas and all those sorts of boys that, you know...
always putting up good stuff.
Yeah,
that's really good, and that's the kind of guys that hopefully we'll get on here and get to have a chat with them and learn a bit more about them as well. So moving forward, mate, what's the future got for MKZ?
Future at the moment, hopefully I don't have to go away to sea for a little while, so I can continue doing some drone stuff. But at the moment, just sort of cruising along, enjoying just sort of doing what I'm doing, not having those sort of pressures of, you know, having to do this, having to do that. So I did start up a website probably about 2-3 months ago.
Yep.
Just to sort of have that sort of footprint on the internet and all that
Yep.
sort of stuff. Because you get people that sort of do inquire about prints and
Yep.
this, that, and the other. It's just easier just to direct them to a website.
Of course, yeah.
And it doesn't sort of take up your time, whereas you'd have to sort of, you know, through Instagram, give them a price list, all that sort of stuff for prints, framing, all that sort of stuff. You can sort of just direct them straight to the website.
Send it straight through.
So at the moment, just sort of doing that sort of stuff, just poking along.
Yeah. Any trips or anything coming up that anything got in your head?
Or
is it all top secret?
Nah, no secrets here, apart from the kangaroo spot. So I've got, so I'm getting married 21st of September.
Oh, congratulations.
So we're actually going to, so like, I don't want missus to think that, you know, the honeymoon's the be all and end all, but yeah, that's kind of where it's at the moment.
Where are you going?
So we're going Singapore into the Maldives.
Oh, sick.
So while she's been sort of doing the wedding planning and all that sort of stuff, been
scouting locations,
scoping out spots and stuff like that, and organising a few tours and all that sort of stuff. So
that's good. So it'll be the wedding ring, drone, boardies. That's all pretty much all you pack.
Yeah, pretty much. Make sure I've got the batteries, chargers, all that sort of fun stuff, and then yeah, she kind of hopes that I don't sort of do too much of the drone stuff. Yeah. But I think she's sort of got used to it now. And she sort of realises.
Oh man, she was the one that started the whole thing, and I'm sure she's been supportive. And you're a changed man.
Yeah. So if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be doing it.
So it's her own fault.
Yeah. Pretty much. I tell her that. So just blame it on her.
Awesome, mate. All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us. It was a real pleasure to have you in here, and great to finally put the name to the Instagram icon. And we really look forward to seeing more of your work moving forward and going for a fly one day.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks heaps for having us.
No worries. All right, that's us. That's an absolute wrap.